Welcome to Prayer and Bible Band, Lesson 13. I do not own the rights to this music. Today's topic is Laziness is Destructive. The background reading is coming out of 2 Chronicles chapter 29, verse 11, Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 18, Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6, and then verses 10 and 11, Proverbs chapter 13, verse 4, Proverbs chapter 19, verse 15, Romans chapter 12, verses 10 through 12. The devotional reading is coming out of Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 through 11. The central verse, I will read the King James Version first, and then the New Living Translation of Romans chapter 12, verse 11. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. The New Living Translation of Romans chapter 12, verse 11. Never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. The key terms for today's lesson: slothful, sluggard, lazy. Slothful, inclined to the quality or state of being lazy. Sluggard, a habitually lazy person. Lazy, not willing to act or work. Laziness involves a lack of motivation and determination to act, even when the person has the capacity to complete a task. The dictionary says that a genuinely lazy person struggles to fulfill their responsibilities efficiently. They tend to be unambitious, which means they don't have a strong work ethic or make plans to pursue their dreams. They put in the least amount of effort possible and are content to just skate by without reaching their full potential. There is truly little good that is said about a lazy person. Very few people want to be associated with a person who is known to be lazy because they are such procrastinators. They constantly postpone things, saying that they will do it another time and never accomplish anything. Lazy people have no real value of time, so this causes them to be constantly late. The prophet told Hezekiah in Chronicles chapter 2, verse 11, not to be negligent, because the Lord had made choice of him to stand before him and to serve and minister to him. He wanted Hezekiah to understand that he could not be lazy and serve his leader. The believer must not allow himself to be lazy as he serves his leader. A good servant knows what his leader needs before he asks for it, because he has taken the time to know the leader and what his desires are. He can never be a good leader if he is too lazy to be a good follower. Most of the time, if a person is lazy, he is nasty, dirty, and wasteful. Laziness is a serious matter, because if a person is lazy in the natural, most of the time he is spiritually lazy. And spiritual laziness is a great obstacle in his journey of faith. Jesus requires the believer to choose a narrow path, to dedicate time to prayer and the studying of the Word, to live a committed life of holiness. But laziness will hinder the spiritual growth of a believer. The believer must embrace the daily challenge of following Christ with dedication and fervor. Time is a gift from God, and He requires the believers to manage it well, because He cares how the believer spends his time. God is timeless. He doesn't need time, but He does provide it for the believer. Believers need to look at their lives and see what can be done better and find out what they can do and where they can prevent procrastination. Usually, where there is procrastination, there is confusion, anxiety, and doubts, and the believer needs to work on bringing his thoughts under the control of the Holy Spirit. He must remember that his thoughts are not the Lord's thoughts, so he must be mindful of what is on his mind. In the Word, God uses the ant as an example of an industrious life. He said to look at the ant's life. He has no supervisor or boss over him, yet he works diligently to make sure that when the cold weather comes, he and his community have food and supplies for winter. God tells the people that they cannot lay around and sleep all day and expect to receive what they need. They must get up and work while the weather is nice, while the sun is yet shining. The Word lets the believers know that if they are lazy or slothful, it will cause them to be sleepy and idle. Then later, when they have a need or want to eat something, there is nothing in the cupboard for them to get. If they are too lazy to put anything there, when the need arises, there is nothing to fulfill that need. To overcome a lazy spirit, the believer must allow words like discipline and self-control to become a part of his vocabulary, his or her vocabulary. For without them, he or she won't get a grip on their lives and move from lethargy, procrastination, and frustration. They will find themselves wasting time, losing the battle, and wallowing in laziness, fear, and materialism. The wise man said in Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 18, that by much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through the idleness of the hands the house droppeth through. For if a person uses a slack hand, he will remain poor, but if he gets up and is diligent in his actions, he can become rich. A wise and virtuous man or woman cannot sit around and be idle and think that the blessing will come. No, only lack, wants, and need will come. A sluggard can have all the dreams and desires that anyone else has, but until he gets up and does something about it, he will remain poor and live in lack. The Lord let the Israelites, who were too lazy to get up and go gather manna each day, but tried to store up manna during the week, experience worms in their cupboards. He had instructed them to go daily and gather it, and at the weekend get enough for 2 days. But they were too lazy and disobedient to obey God, so they suffered the consequences. The questions for today's lesson: Number 1, why is laziness destructive? Number 2, what can a believer do to get rid of his or her lazy spirit? Number 3, why does a person become spiritually lazy? The essential thought: when a person allows himself to be lazy, he sets himself up for failure and lack. The end. God bless you and thank you for joining me today.